This is the Play Your Position podcast, where we huddle up, call the plays, and inspire you to run your ball into the end zone. Are you ready to score more game-winning touchdowns in your life, business, and career? Then listen up, because it's game time, baby. Now, here's your host, Mary Lou Kaiser.
Within the span of a year beginning in early July 2020 and ending 12 months later, the week between September 20th and September 26th was the peak of search on Google for the phrase most people, according to Google Trends. In the United States, Oklahoma had the highest volume of searches for most people. Maine had the lowest. Rising related queries across all geographic areas in the states for the phrase most people included 100 most influential people, 2020. Anthony Fauci topped that list. Which animal kills the most people? Mosquitoes. And which president pardoned the most people? Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Two breakout phrases topping the trend charts were, who has killed the most people in history? Mao Zedong. And, do most people recover from COVID? Yes. During a recent conversation with a friend, I became aware that I use the phrase most people more than, well, most people. Most people don't do work they love. Most people are living an average life. Most people are unhappy. Most people is a convenient and fairly straightforward way of gaining status, separating ourselves from characteristics and behaviors in others we don't care for or ever want associated with us in any form or fashion, no matter how trendy. Acid-washed jeans come to mind here. Top-of-the-line marketers know how to play to this innate fear. The threat of being like most people is too close for comfort for most people, driving us to great lengths and often expense to prevent or avoid. It is the 21st century version of staying clear of the saber-toothed tiger prowling around the periphery of our cave. Cashback match included. One of the first lessons I learned when I entered the online copywriting space was the us versus them framework. Built squarely on top of a foundation of most people, the message goes, most people are doing this, insert undesirable behavior, and you most likely are doing it too, but you don't want to be doing it, not really. And here's the good news. You don't have to keep doing it. This framework is the bedrock on which every consumer product exists. But listen, it's not your fault that you're not one of the cool kids because, that's right, you don't have to be like most people for the ridiculously low price of $19.95. But wait, there's more. Our amazing product will not only make your floors shine like the day they were first installed, but more importantly, this bottle of magic floor potion will skyrocket you into the stratosphere where people like us exist, and most people don't. People like us who have, if you believe what you see on our Instagram account, Ferraris, tiny waists, round butts, flawless skin, perfect children, six-pack abs, zero debt, Pelotons, walk-in closets the size of an elementary school, and all the mind-blowing sex you could possibly imagine anytime we want. Seth Godin skips the most part of this concept, boldly going straight for the jugular in his book, All Marketers Are Liars. Not most marketers, all marketers. Professionals who boldly employ the power of most people, because all people just doesn't work when establishing who belongs to the cool group and who doesn't. Picturing the scene where everyone's teeth are straight and white, no one wakes up in the morning with breath that smells like it got trapped in a dumpster, and car accidents never happen, even to people who text while they drive, is ironically not the goal. To not be most people means to exclude most people. That's the goal. That's how this works. The paradox is that while that's how this most assuredly works, we like to think we aren't like most people who are unhappy, who are living an average life, who are not doing work we love, when we are, in fact, as much like most people as anyone else, which only serves to stir the pot of perpetual dissatisfaction, sending us trans-like on cue into the marketplace, credit card in hand. Shatter the illusion that we are like most people. Make the pain go away, even if only for a little while. Retail therapy on meth. The mathematical elements of most people are interesting. Each is meticulously factored into every decision behind marketing and advertising campaigns. What is the bare minimum of most people watching Super Bowl commercials for us to declare victory with our ad? 1 million? 5 million? How many likes are enough to affirm our time wasn't wasted posting those mirror selfies? 50? 5,000? Do most people even post mirror selfies? When do we know we've received the lion's share of engagement for our online efforts? What line do we draw in the sand that signifies our ability to determine, without a shadow of a doubt, whether we surpassed our expectations or fell short of what we convinced ourselves would be a sure thing? Cue the Google Band, where the ever-growing playlist of search data requires nothing more than a quick query for the dancing to begin. Whether or not they'll play your song remains to be seen. Whether or not you'll be asked to dance is another story altogether. No matter how pretty your dress or up to the minute that data may be, not even the mighty Google can guarantee it will play your song. The beauty of Google is we can search for phrases and keywords, instantly privy to results about the number of times these phrases and words appear, what their relative value is in the marketplace, what word or phrase most people in a specific geographic area are searching for, along with a dizzying lineup of other data that can be used for any number of purposes. If we learn, for example, that most people are tossing a blue and white striped beach ball around the stadium during the big game, we can toss a hot pink inflatable in the shape of a flamingo. Most people aren't tossing a hot pink inflatable flamingo at the playoff game, but the ones who do will most certainly get on television, possibly entering the post-game conversation and highlight reel, becoming a viral meme, amplifying engagement, satisfying stakeholders, if only for a little while. All of us are most people in most things, making most people a tunnel into myriad untapped niches. I have a car. Most people have a car. I eat food every day. Most people eat food every day. I sleep every night. Most people sleep every night. I have people in my life that I care deeply about. Most people have people in their life they care deeply about. The point: if most people have people in their life they care deeply about, but don't send a handwritten card in which they express their love because buying a card is inconvenient, you have to actually write something with a pen and then know someone's address and put a stamp on the envelope. And do stamps even exist anymore? What if there was a company that did all of that heavy lifting for you? Enter Sendout Cards, a company founded in 2009 whose homepage message reads, "The world needs what your heart has to give. Act on your promptings and reach out in kindness by sending a heartfelt card every day." Most people won't take the time to send a heartfelt card every day, but you can, potentially changing lives, one card at a time, including your own. The geniuses behind the television show Seinfeld changed our lives and the culture when they exemplified the power of opposite in the episode when George Costanza, upon Jerry's urging, decides to do the opposite of everything he habitually does. If everything you do is wrong, Jerry says to George in the coffee shop, then the opposite would have to be right.
If every instinct you have is wrong, then the opposite would have to be right.
Yes, I will do the opposite. I used to sit here and do nothing and regret it for the rest of the day. So now I will do the opposite and I will do something.
You could argue that the reason Jerry Seinfeld is teetering on the brink of having a personal net worth of $1 billion is because he did the opposite of what most people do. Not only did he pursue creating a television show, but he employed the power of opposites to create a show he claimed was about nothing and was actually about everything. Distinguishing ourselves from most people arises out of an inherent need to gain status for something unusual when most people aren't doing something unusual. Most people get married. Most people have children. Most people go to school. Most people who go to school graduate. Those who don't, people like Oprah Winfrey, Steve Jobs, Alicia Keys, Mark Zuckerberg, aren't like most people and have gone on to achieve status and success most people will never know. Headlines like "More than half of U.S. workers are unhappy in their jobs" inform us that most people are not doing work that is aligned with their deepest purpose. Most people are not living their why. Thus, the success of Mark Manson's book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, Jen Sincero's Badass Trilogy, and Simon Sinek's Start With Why book and TED Talk of the same name. Each of these writers were willing to say things most people aren't willing to say. They were also willing to do what most people aren't willing to do: devote a decent chunk of their time to writing a book and then figuring out how to get it published. Most people don't go on to enjoy great literary success, great artistic success, great business success in their lives. Those individuals are not like most people. They had something bigger than themselves, what we now refer to as a calling, a vision, a purpose. Nothing was going to stop them from living it out. It can be dangerous to be like most people. It can be equally dangerous not to.
Got a great key offensive strategy you like to share? Write to us at coach@pyppodcast.com or on Twitter, use #PYP and let us know how you're running your ball into the end zone for those game-winning touchdowns.